Hey, welcome back to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Watch this whole video. Hey, Yo Gotti's brother Big Jook got popped, man. He was out there and they got caught lacking, man, because he was already telling on what was going on. It could have been somebody from Blac Youngsta's side because he was getting ready to tell on all the CMG. So they were scared that he had already said something and got him going because they're scared if there's like a Rico coming, if there's anything like that, allegedly, they don't want to have to like deal with this. So what's going on is that because Big Jook went in and he came out so quick, they only had him in there for like 1 or 2 days, and he had told them everything because they said that in the report that he was cooperating. And so that's what people were talking about. They thought that Big Jook cooperated and is basically trying to get CMG busted. And so while he was, back out and everything like that, that's when people had ran up on him, and goons was already asking him questions like why he even says something like that. He should have just waited until he'd seen how much time it was going to be, or what was going to be the whole thing. But he basically ended up popping out there with like a whole bucket of chicken because that's what they give you when you tell. And so that's what was going on. People already thought that he was telling because out of all the people, he always been like the person who Yo Gotti sends out to do all the dirty work for him and to like wash his hands clean through having Big Jook go and do all that stuff in the streets and handle all that business, right? And so during all of that time, then he was being watched, and he actually knows most of everything that's been going on. So every time that he's popped up and questioned for something that happened, they gonna ask him what was he doing and who sent him that. He might be able to say something like CMG. It's basically gonna be just like what Gunna said, where he said that he was already agreed to working and being a part of a whole thing and all that, right? So Big Jook said the same exact thing. And so that's what a lot of people are saying. And so Memphis Streets is talking right now saying that Big Jook already had told on CMG for everything that happened, for the Young Dolph stuff, or all that other stuff, the beef that's been going on and all the different groups, the back and forth with Lil Migo and Grove Hero. And not only that, but the fact that they put money, and there was people that was saying that it was 40K on Dolph's head, but at first it was 100K that they said that was on his head. And so we really they actually found out that that might have been an actual thing. And so that's one of the reasons that they went up and swooped. And that's actually why Grove Hero was even running up on Lil Migo like that, was because of the fact that he was getting get back from them actually throwing money on his head and stuff like that for Dolph. Yeah, so Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta sitting back looking at this like, dang, now everything is coming down. They knew it was going to be so long until somebody at the whole CMG group ended up saying way too much, or if they had been being watched for a long time, or if they had anything to do with any other thing and they ended up getting talked to. If they asked the questions about what's been going on, it was going to be a matter of time until somebody started speaking and telling out of the CMG camp, because you can't trust nobody out of that. They just was trying to hopefully have nobody from the immediate, like that was actually a part of a lot of big stuff, but it ended up being Big Jook because he was part of like every little thing that went on. He was the enforcer basically, and he was part of security for Yo Gotti. So now Blac Youngsta, he was already on the run and has been hiding for like almost all year now. And what happened is that as soon as he heard about how Big Jook was getting talked to and that he might have started cooperating and doing this and doing that, once he heard about that from his goons, he knew that they was going to find Shondale. And then when they got Govan, that's when he was like, okay, he knew that somebody was going to tell out of that group of these people that just got caught up. And the fact that they already got straight dropped, they already got another guy and a third person, right? And so he was knowing that it was probably time out of all them people that somebody was going to end up telling on him or telling on Yo Gotti. And so that's why he made people start watching. If any of those dudes get back out too quick, they probably have a good idea that they might have been the person that started saying something. So that's why he had Blac Youngsta started having all of his goons keep a close eye on all the group of people from CMG that ended up getting captured in the last like 2 months. And then that way, If he thought one of them was spilling the beans on everything that went down, then that's when he was gonna, have his goons run up on those guys if they ended up getting out quick or whatever, because it is a small town in Memphis, and so everybody knows everybody. And so once somebody says something and word gets out there in the streets, that's when Blac Youngsta and his crew is gonna hear it, and that's when the CMG crew is going to probably end up trying to get back, or trying to keep that person quiet, or maybe they might end up going missing. Who knows? Like, that's all, that stuff is still like possible and all that. And that's why you got to understand that when you're dealing with them, that's why it's not worth all those people who ended up signing under them so quick to get like a bag real quick, but they don't understand that what's coming in the future. And so you don't want to be ended up tied to some type of group when people in the group is doing things that could come back and get everybody in that group tied up, even if they wasn't even involved. Just like how the whole thing with Young Thug and the Rico happened with them, and now they got their whole crew, even if it was some people who weren't doing everything, but just because being around them, being associated. So that's the thing. And then now you got that whole situation where now Keyglock is looking at it like, he's like, man, that's why he told y'all, he probably tried to warn everybody in Memphis to keep low, because now CMG is going to be trying to get retaliation or revenge because there is going to be like, they're going down, just because everybody in CMG started talking and they all getting captured. Like, you got to understand, Straight Drop gave some information, and then the next guy that they got in, he said some more stuff, and the third person, they added more to the conversation. And now when they got Govan and Big Jook, that's Yogotti's brother, they got like a major source now that's right there close to Yogotti, fully in the CMG camp. He's been part of the CMG camp for years and years and years and years. So they know that he knows a whole lot of stuff that's going to bring everything and have this hammer strike down on CMG. And that's when they're going to start rounding up everybody. They're probably going to sweep Memphis, the feds sweep Memphis again, because last time, remember, they ended up getting 300 people. And that's how they ended up finding out about Straight Drop, finding out about Cornelius. But now those same guys and a bunch of the 4 other people that they got already locked up for the Young Dolph stuff, they started telling on CMG left and right, because they realized that if they don't say nothing, they're never going to come out and see the light of day, because they're looking at years and years and years. Like, that whole thing, they still have to wait for that whole trial to go on and everything to go on. So at the end of the day, they realize that they're pretty much ending up going to cooperate and tell, and that this is going to make it to where the CMG is going to end up getting basically hit with something, and then people are going to start getting captured already, which already happened with Big Jook and Govan and all these guys. And remember, Govan was seen with Straight Drop and Big Homie G and all these guys. So they're not just some random people in Memphis. They actually, Govan, Big Jook and all of them, they actually like really part of CMG and everything like that. And so that's why people are saying that because those dudes are so closely related in CMG, like on payroll and everything like that, they in the music videos, they in pictures and this and that, scene right there next to Yogotti. And that's why they're thinking that this is going to make it to where more people from CMG are going to start getting talked to, captured, or ended up getting hit with something. They're going to have to figure out what they have to do as connections and how they're tied in to what happened with Young Dolph. If they have any involvement, if they made any calls, if they made any directions to the people to say to go get them or put money on them to have them go do something on their behalf. That's what they're all going to be looking at. And a lot of people is basically speaking up in Memphis and saying like, yeah, it's still justice for Dolph. They still riding for Dolph, because it's a lot of fans out there that are trying to see what ends up happening with this. But at the back of everybody's head, everybody knows that it's basically came down to a thing about how it was Young Dolph versus a lot of people who had beef with him from CMG. And that all started with Yogotti. That all started with a lot of stuff that happened in Memphis years and years ago. Baby Mamas was included. Him trying to get signed by Yogotti was included. And how he denied that. He didn't want that because he was trying to do it on his own. And so this whole thing was a snowball effect. Then Blac Youngsta joined in on it, and then he did that whole thing with the 100 shots. So it's been going on for a long time. So everybody knows where this all started from and where it all came out down to an end. And so that's why they know they've been sitting back waiting, like biting their nails on the edge of their seat, trying to figure out, is something going to happen to CMG, because it's directly tied and connected to exactly what happened to Dolph, as far as the goons running up on them and who exactly they were and who they're part of and who they do songs with and who they signed to and hang out with. And they switch groups, they switch sides. A lot of people switch sides. A lot of people used to be on Dolph's side, but then they switched side to Yo Gotti's side. So it's like a whole thing that's been going on in Memphis where people had to pick and choose what side they were going to be on. And that's the crazy thing, because it never even had to end up being like that. Dolph had his own side. Everybody could have their own lane. And so it doesn't have to be where people are beefing or in the way of each other, because that's just going to slow everything down for everybody, having to always have that as an obstacle or have that as a maneuver or thing you have to think about whenever you make moving and everything like that. And so that's the whole situation that's going on. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment down below. I'm going to catch you on the next one.